When depression is a leading cause of disability in the United States, I can't do enough videos on this subject. As someone who suffered from depression for most of my life, I had chronic fatigue issues, I had Lyme, I had mold, Bartonella, bacterial issues, nutrient deficiencies. All these problems likely started in childhood. In many cases, we see 5, 6, 7-year-old kids, and unfortunately some of those kids are reporting suicidal thoughts. They simply don't want to be alive. Now, some of this is related to bullying, but when we look at these children and we run functional medicine labs on these kids, we see that there's some real problems with hormones, with nutrient deficiencies, with neurotransmitters, with toxins, with infections. For example, we had a child up in New York. His mother had 5 kids. They had a busted foundation due to tree roots that were getting into the home's foundation every time it rained. They had water in their basement. This whole family had mold toxicity, and all of the family, even the kids that really weren't old enough to be thinking like this, had suicidal thoughts. They didn't want to live anymore. They felt like they wanted to die. That's scary stuff. And so toxins can really transfer from mother to baby through the placenta. They can go from mother to baby through breast milk. And then obviously these children can have their own accumulated toxins. And all of us children grow up one day. Those toxins don't go away unless you're doing something specific to get rid of them. So that's why I put toxins up here at number 1. I mean, when you look at the combination of heavy metals, pesticides, and then we're going to put MP now for microplastics. I was actually looking at some literature the other day that even tap water, not even just bottled water, of course bottled water has microplastics in it, but tap water also contains microplastics. So all of us, even all of us that are trying to be healthy and eating organic and we have water filtration and all of that, we're still likely getting exposed to these things. And heavy metals, pesticides, microplastics, all of these have an impact on the gut barrier, the blood-brain barrier, our hormones. Some of these effects on microplastics we probably don't even know yet. We're just now getting some good literature coming out on how prevalent this is, and it's freaking bad. So number 2, gut infections, specifically H. pylori. This is probably the biggest one. I've talked about this for literally a decade now, but I can't talk about it enough because I had H. pylori and you might too. About 50% of the world's population has H. pylori. Now it can coexist with us. It can be commensal, meaning it's not creating a lot of problems and it's not causing intestinal damage or stomach damage. However, in many of the cases we see using stool testing, we find the H. pylori level is too high. When it's too high, it damages the parietal cells in your gut. This creates massive issues with digestion, and eventually this turns into chronic anxiety or depression. I remember when I lived in Texas, I had H. pylori. I lost a bunch of weight. I had anxiety. I had depression. Simply clearing those infections along with parasites, overnight, I felt the dark cloud over me lift. It was actually pretty amazing. And I've seen this 1,000 times clinically. I had a woman who, she was depressed for 20 plus years. We found out she had H. pylori and other gut infections. We used stool testing to find that. We gave her a protocol, and honestly, I didn't even give her any antidepressant nutrients, which we often do, like rhodiola and other adaptogenic herbs to help that. We actually didn't do that. We just created a gut protocol. On the 6-week follow-up, we got on the call, and I'm like, how's the depression? She says, what depression? She literally forgot. I'm like, you were depressed for 20 years and now you just don't have it? She's like, no, I'm not depressed. So it's amazing how quickly we forget about our suffering, but she did. And it was amazing to see that. So we'll do stool testing to look at the gut. We'll do urine testing to investigate the toxin piece. Now, number 3, hormones here. So we can do urine. We can also do saliva. It really just depends on where you are and what you're doing in your health journey and what your budget is. Some of these things vary in terms of price, but hormones can be a key component to this because after age 30, a lot of us see a major decline. So in males, testosterone levels are record low. Sperm quality, sperm motility, like males are in trouble. Females have their own set of issues, but men, we got a lot of issues going on right now with male health, fertility health. And specifically, we know that mold toxin, so mycotoxins directly damage and affect the testes and therefore sperm quality and sperm motility. So all of these women that are having infertility issues and people that are doing IVF, it's likely not the woman, it's the man. That's a bit of a tangent. We'll do a fertility video later, but in the topic of depression, low testosterone alone is going to cause major issues with depression, inability to gain muscle, erectile dysfunction, fatigue, potentially anxiety, joint pain, irritability. So a lot of mood issues are directly tied into hormones. Females, progesterone can be a problem, estrogen, cortisol. We can measure all of these using a urine test and we'll see any imbalances in the cortisol rhythm or likely lack of progesterone. That can be a big factor as well for depression and anxiety as well. Okay, number 4, this ties directly into everything else we've talked about. We covered how gut infections can affect your nutrient absorption, right? We covered how toxins can affect you from many different places, but toxins affect the neurotransmitters directly. For example, in the case of mold, we know okra toxin depletes dopamine. So when we see people like Andrew Huberman doing these podcasts that are getting millions of views and they're talking about cold showers and cold plunging and this and that, no one is talking about the root cause toxins. So come on, Andrew, please, let's talk about toxins because this is a big deal and everyone has it. There's no amount of cold plunging that's going to get the mycotoxins out of your body, okay? This is really important that we get these toxins addressed. The end result of that is a neurotransmitter imbalance that we can measure in organic acids testing. So we're going to look at dopamine, serotonin, and the catecholamines. We can measure that whole group of brain chemicals through the urine, and we can use specific amino acids to help regulate those brain chemicals, getting people to feel so much better in the interim while we're fixing all these infections. So short term, we can support neurotransmitters, get you feeling better in a couple of weeks. Longer term, we can fix these issues in months to potentially a year or more, depending on just how toxic you are. So this is Evan Brand signing out. I'm board certified in holistic nutrition. I'm also a functional nutritional therapy practitioner. I've seen over 3,000 clients worldwide. I've had 26+ million downloads of my Evan Brand Show podcast. I've been doing this for over a decade now, helping people in my functional medicine practice. If you need more help, check out the links below. I've got some online master classes you can take where I'll teach you more about these functional medicine strategies, and consultations are also available worldwide. Take care.